Hi, how are you?
Hey, Simon, I'm good. I'm
It's
good.
great. One-on-one meeting. No
Yeah,
interruption.
yeah. I was sure other people would show.
Yes.
I am taking a look at the changes that Lidor had recently done to get us to a point where we can begin to version Meshery. If you recall, he ended up creating a properties.yaml file in the Meshery container itself. And so I hadn't seen it. I was just going to go have a look.
Uh, Actually, we talk about with the leader about that. So right now, I think we have three projects in a one repo. So we have separately build that. But the last time that's the error that we are coming out. So he is unforgettably doesn't compile that project. That's why it's that doesn't able to build that project. That's why it produces that error. Ask him. So I have asked him how could we do that, done that in a way that we have a three project, have a multi-state Docker file in that. So if we can build that projects simultaneously by three. So I think there's a language that's using. I doesn't know about the configuration of about the Go languages. That way, I doesn't give a good understanding of you. So I am asking. So I think he tried out and he submit Jobs code. I think talk about Lee as well. We can do that. But Kanishka Rasko also has commented out. So I never use Go language. That why I'm doesn't comfortable for how the configuration works in the Go languages.
Oh, that
So
makes sense.
the way to go, I think we could do that in a multi-state Docker file, build that project, cache that in, and next build in a way that we have a three project builds simultaneously. I think that's a good approach. I have done in the Angular and Node.js application for that, but here I doesn't know how to do that.
Yeah. Well, it shouldn't. Right. Yeah. Yeah. You would think that it wouldn't necessarily require any knowledge of Go per se, because the commands to build for how the how those three containers are being built today, those commands are already there. It's more about restructuring um, restructuring into a multi-stage build rather than a single stage build. You would think. But yeah, that's a good. If Lidor shows today, that's actually a good topic to cover. So Kush is with us, and I figured that we're still on our crusade to version Meshery. And so if you guys, so let's take a look at this if we could. Like, if you guys recall, we have these three issues that we're trying to wrap up in order to be able to control Meshery's version and the deployment, the release of Meshery, and then ultimately we would allow the users to determine which version of Meshery that they want to deploy. So Lidor had recently knocked out which one? Is it 962? So in the build workflow of Meshery itself, he has incorporated in consideration for a release tag. So if a release tag is present, he will take that release tag, that version number, and the git SHA, and write them to a local property file on in the Meshery image itself. So I'm going to share that has happened, right? And that's been committed, and we've built Meshery, and so I'm going to share my terminal to see if we can see that properties file. So here I am. I'm running Meshery locally. I've exec'd into the Meshery container. and I'm running bash. So as I'm inside the container, I land in the app, the /app/cmd path. I take a look around. There's a Meshery folder. I go into the Meshery folder, or rather, that's not a folder. That's Meshery, the binary, apparently. I'm not immediately seeing where it is that this properties file was dropped. I would assume that was in the app folder. Oh, I remember my find command. So you guys don't recall where he dropped that on the file system? Gonna go look at the workflow and see where he put it. So this is the part of the workflow that he had set up. So set properties file with release tag. It might be the case that he skips this whole thing. And so basically here he's saying if success and there is a tag, a release tag, then go ahead and run this stuff. So it might be the case that we're not seeing the presence of the properties.yaml file because we haven't had a release since he did this. Set output here. Where would we expect it to be though? Because the person that works on the endpoint, the REST endpoint to retrieve this, will need to know.
The following file has also not been added in Docker build and push command. I don't think it is getting stored in the local.
Okay. And you mean, Kush, you mean irrespective of whether or not a tag was, like even if a tag was present, this properties file isn't being persisted?
Yep, it should not be persisted because there is no. First of all, the following file is being created on the GitHub Actions, and since it is on the cloud, it should have been committed in a Docker file. But in the PR which Redor made, there is no change in the Docker file or Docker build and push action.
I see.
I think he has tried this before in Meshery temp repo.
Right.
Before,
And he may not have, yeah. So if we, how would that work? If we, yeah, running actions locally is a bit of a pain. But you're saying like, hey, there's no update to the Docker file, meaning that YAML file, that properties.yaml file may not be present. So we would, like you would be expecting a copy command from here, right? Let's see. User local bin. Okay. All right. So yeah, I guess part of the question is where is that properties.yaml file? Is that being created in this stage of the build, the Meshery server stage? I would assume so. And if that's the case, to your point, we would need to copy over the properties.yaml file here. But no, I take it back, because if the properties that okay, if the properties YAML file was stored in the /app/command directory, we might be okay. We might not have to update this copy. Yeah, I mean, one thing that we could do is make a minor release to kind of test this out. That minor release would move everyone from the old version of Meshery CTL to the new version, which is certainly an improvement, actually. It's just that its change is a little bit of a breaking change. So I don't know, like, I don't know if we're ready to do the .4 release.
We can try it out in the temp repo.
Okay, and just put a release on there.
Yep.
Or tag it. Now, it won't push the containers anywhere. And so I don't know how we can inspect the file system of the image. We could create a temp. Yeah, I guess the thing that we could be doing is we could still be pushing to the Meshery repo in Docker Hub, but labeling it, but tagging it not with latest, but with some temp tag. Like that might work. Alternatively, we could create another repo in Docker Hub for the temp stuff, but just to keep them separate. Shoot, yeah, that's boy, we need. I mean, yeah, we're kind of. It's funny. We need to make a release anyway. I wanted for us to do the .4 release in a very good way, you know, with the announcement and the blog write up, the release notes, so many things in flight. The problem now is that we haven't made a release for like a couple months, 3 months, I think, which as a project isn't good. We don't have a regular, we're not establishing a regular cadence. The
We
longer
made last release on 1st May. It's
the
been
last, really. So, oh, okay. So it's only been 1 month. Okay. That's good. Well, shoot, I guess we should take some meeting minutes. Maybe what we'll say is, I guess I'll propose that we have a separate Meshery temp Docker Hub repo, so that the artifacts produced can be, you know, people can test some things out there. What do you guys think about that?
Lee, I am actually thinking about that when we go to the other service meshes, particularly when we go to the Istio website, they have a very book sample app that you can try it out your own. So in our Meshery project, we have so many things are interrelated with each other. And also when tried out on my Windows, and many of the people that also try out on Windows, there's some difficulties for that right now in Windows. So that's why I asked about last meeting that we could do a YouTube video for that, because people are really frustrated in Windows world. I also tried a lot of things already. So right now, I think my good solution is that we could do separate small Meshery project like Istio does for their book sample app, and convert that people can use it and tried it out. I have tried to do that in a Istio project, fork that in, and try to integrate with the Meshery. So kind of, but there's a very and so many things I couldn't understand that. So I think just for a like a Istio project, like a console project, like the famous service message, where there's some demo sample project that people can try it out their own, so they have a better familiarity with that. Because our project is kind of a very uh, most of the period doesn't understand the Docker and Kubernetes. They're very difficult to grasp that concept. So I think we have to done that kind of a thing, because as the Istio sample book app, there's a very easy way to install it, easy way to work around that. We have not a very so much configuration. They have every command sitting in that, and you can try it out at all.
Gotcha. Am I sharing my browser or my terminal?
Browser.
Browser. Okay. Yeah, Simon, that's a great suggestion. The we've just recently produced kind of our own sample app, and that was for purposes really of showing off what can be done with Wasm with WebAssembly. And so that one is uh, called Image Hub. Now, this Image Hub only works on console deployments at the moment. But Simon, can you create an issue for on like the Istio on the Istio adapter for supporting Image Hub, and that way we'll when someone completes that issue, we'll achieve what you were suggesting around having our own sample app to learn from.
Yes, Lee, but the image I have tried on my laptop. I just want to know, there's a three apps for that. One is web app, one is NY proxy, and one is another app. So making that a very so in a native like user friendly way. That's first time come the repo and fork that. I think for understanding three project in a one repo, I think that's very difficult for him. As technologists, we are service mesh makers, we are easily can do that. But as my ask my friend about that, I have a that's app they are asking about. So he when he asked them to fork that and work around that, so it's suggesting that's too many things for I am able to grasp that.
Right.
I want these repos to be very lightweight, so people can turn around that wherever they're supposed to be running with the Windows word or the Mac word, the Linux word, they can easily run that on run that, and the have doesn't know about what's happening over the edge. So in order to that, they kind of relief way that's Meshery has abstracted away everything from me. Right now, there's so many configuration for that. I have a very good conversation about that with Lidor. I also ping him in a Slack channel once again that we are on a call. If you can available, you can join us, Lidor. But a very good conversation about that. I asked him. I think it's a good way to do. I also tried out, but right now I'm figuring out very difficulties in doing that one simple project. Lee, what's your idea? I think for the particularly just for a Istio, would we do that a very lightweight adapter as well? That's very easy to work around, easy to play with.
A lightweight sample app or lightweight adapter.
Lightweight sample, like that's the sample book app.
Yeah.
Can we modify that's their book app or any very simple
Yeah.
project and integrated that the Meshery in, so people can the new user can easily understand what is going on.
Yeah, that's a great suggestion. We just this last I think that that's a great thing to do. I think that we'll get a ton of mileage out of something like that. I think that it lines up very well with the workshops that we give and the way that we tell people, hey, Meshery is a great way to learn how to service mesh. That we've been leaning on sample apps from produced by the other projects. Hey, maybe we should have one and really consider how we can help people. And so this we just created or in the process of creating one. It's called Learn Layer 5, meaning not so much learn the community, but really basically like learn how to service mesh and use this as a sample app. This one is probably not ready for general consumption, but is simple in nature and is, to your point, I think where we're headed with that. So that's good. That doesn't provide an immediate answer. I think the more immediate answers are that we should improve the way that book info, like book info is the one that we've spent the most time with. And if we improve the way that it's deployed, we can really help people just kind of go click, 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 and kind of walk through what happens. Right now, one of the things that would be a better experience is when someone deploys Istio, if they deploy the sample app, like that's a decent experience. It's kind of 2 clicks. We need to enhance mesh sync so that we can tell people in the UI, hey, Istio is up and book info is up, and here's your URL to the book info UI so that you don't have to go over to the terminal to find where book info is. More than that, the next thing that we should do is update our deployment of book info to, update our deployment of Istio to expose Prometheus and Grafana from Istio's control plane, which will help them, I think, have a more robust experience in Meshery. Today, when you deploy Istio, Meshery doesn't automatically connect to the Prometheus and Grafana instances in there because they are not exposed through Istio's ingress. But we can configure that. And when we deploy Istio, and we should just go ahead and make that really easy for people. So those, so I've got some asks of you because these are good suggestions. So one is this here. Hopefully you can see my screen. You mentioned that there's some issues with Windows. That makes sense because most of the contributors are not developing on Windows. And because of that, there's probably rough edges. So either you filing those or encouraging others that see those to file them so that we can, because on some of those, I just don't even know what the issues are. So we need those filed. The other one is so the sample app that we have today is the Image Hub one. It would be good to, as you're looking at the Image Hub, like if you can either create issues or just do it to, like suggest ways in which Image Hub can be a more simple deployment. Right now, Image Hub deployment is a little bit awkward because I think we have to use Helm to deploy console because the console Meshery adapter is too dated. If that wasn't the case, as soon as that issue gets fixed, the flow will be a lot better. You'll download Meshery, use Meshery to deploy console, use Meshery to deploy Image Hub, and then from there, we would be on par with other sample apps. Right now, that isn't the case. So we're not far off, I think, on Image Hub. And it's nice because it's our own app. It's our own sample app that we can hopefully help people understand service meshes and WebAssembly. So I guess my part of my ask is like, hey, these are good points. Minimally, hopefully you can create some issues to suggest some enhancements. If you're able to execute on some of those enhancements, that would be helpful.
Yeah, yes, Lee, definitely. One way that I also engaging the Windows customer into the Meshery is asking my friend, you are doing the DevOps world or on the that's, you have to try it out, tell us what they feel about that. So what's their suggestion, what they feel about the Meshery project. I'm asking here, so their experience as a native user that doesn't know about Kubernetes, Docker, or Meshery. So what they think about our project, because these are the very good user. They give us a very good feedback around that. If you ask about the player who have a knowledge of Docker and Kubernetes, you have biasness suggestion that they have already know about that. If you ask about the native user, they give you the very good suggestion is that. I think one thing, Lee, I'm also hitting on the LinkedIn channel, on the Twitter, so people maybe engage with our community and also try it out on that. But definitely try it out. Right now I'm trouble doing running the Image Hub. Some troubles in my machine. I have so I have asked Lido and can try to come out as some file and that's some issues as well because I'm running everything on Windows as well. So one good suggestion is that we're talking about the sample app that's lightweight, that's more consumable. I think once Kubernetes start with they doing that, they have some small point of small projects. So people have very little configuration. So they have come up out with right now. If I'm thinking about the sample app that having a link, having a Istio adapter and Meshery, so people can have a very good view and they can give them a good suggestion how lightly weightly we can integrate Grafana, Istio, and very good suggestion for the community as well. Right now I think everybody I'm asking about that thing, so they have a little bit confused about that because they have knowing the of how the project structure within that the project every day is growing and moving that. I think we have if we could do in that way, I think moving forward this project is growing and growing and growing and making that. I am remember that Docker when initially they have started, they have going as a microservices world land, but sooner they realize their own project is a monolithic app and they have decided how to convert those pieces to other members. And after thing, I think right now we have the same condition, but it's not a very huge project, but has a lightweight still. But there are some things to be considered. I think great suggestion is to me that's where a sample app, people just playing with the simple apps. Now they have come up with a solution, and now we can, as a project leader, we can decide that how in our project we can incorporate those changes as well. So remember I'm asking about every time that uh, getting the feedback from the community is very important because these projects are doing other people's job easy. So their feedback is really important for us.
Totally. Yeah, totally. Have you invited any of those folks to the community here so they can give that feedback? That'd be great.
Yes, Leah, I ask about that, but right now they are some busy in their own internal projects. And right now, in this Saturday, I'm running my workshop. I can running the Docker workshop, and hopefully, I can run the image hub for that in my own community in a way that incorporate the people about introducing the Meshery. But I'm asking about that my that I am running some workshops. So or going people into the service mesh, we have to go from the Docker to the Kubernetes and the service mesh. So in this Saturday, I'm running the virtual conference running on the Docker and trying to do that run in the people can get to know the about idea then, and that's where the people engage with that, and that's what I'm trying to do. And also, I think Lee, what's your own thought? That's how I think we can do the in a partnership with the Nuno and have some WSL and Meshery update to the YouTube. I think that's really necessary at this moment. I think we have to do then this week or next week. We could
I,
pop.
I'm, yeah, that's a great suggestion. We do want to establish a routine, um, uh, a webcast or a routine fireside chat, or call it what you will. And there have been a couple that have volunteered. We are. Uh, I won't be able to. There are too many things going on. I do not have the right amount of support to be able to do that right, and I don't want to start it until we can do it right. Because what we'd want to do is establish a cadence, get kind of a schedule and a program going, have guests on, um, the and we won't be successful. I'm convinced right now that we don't have. Uh, or I know for my part, I don't. I'm. It's between 12 and 14-hour days for me, and then I occasionally take. I'm somewhat absent on the weekends a little bit, just so that my wife doesn't divorce me, and my kids still remember my name. But I desperately want to get there, and that's why we're. Well, and Kush actually is very much so helping here. We're hiring some interns to get there. I think, and these are marketing interns, a number of them. When they come in, we might be able to then execute. I think one thing to do, not to lose the momentum on those thoughts, which is a fantastic, like those set of topics is fantastic, and who would be on the show, if you will. As you've begun to track those in the content calendar, that's a beautiful thing. Like to identify, hey, these topics, these folks, that's part of us getting to a point where we can say, hey, we should go out and expend the energy to tell people, come and see us once a week or once every 2 weeks. We're going to have these topics. We're going to do these things and be successful and kind of, build on it. You've got the right idea. I think folks like Nuno and others are the right kind of folks to pull in. I mean, the demos that Nuno gives is fantastic, particularly like you're saying for issues that people run into on Windows. Like, what a great video to be able to watch Meshery with WSL, and here's how you go through. Like, and I think actually the 8 different ways that you can do that, that topic actually makes for a couple of, like, it's not a one-shot topic, rather, like. So that's good. We do, to the extent that you can, either while you're seeing them, or while you know that others are seeing them. Yeah, pop in the issues, or because that'll help. Sometimes, like literally on the Windows one, I just haven't touched Windows in a long time. VJ Cheryuki. Vijay Cherakuri, I'm sorry, is another. He's been, I don't know if you've seen him in the Slack talking about, he has a Windows machine. He's been trying to work on building Meshery on Windows and running Meshery on Windows natively.
Yeah, I have met with the Vijay on a Slack channel quite a bit of time. He's also running as I running on a Windows, and when he ever indulge in the some issues, he try to ask me to what's happening in there. So I'm in the process. I think right now I think we both of them are running on Windows, so we try to figure it out.
I'm not convinced that Meshery that we have accounted for everything that we need to let Meshery run on Windows. I think he's had success building the Go project, but I'm curious as to whether or not Meshery would run into issues running on that OS, on the Windows OS. I don't know.
But I think Lee, that's particularly the revolution that's bring Windows, that you can run distros of Linux, Ubuntu, a different kind of that. I think you can do that same thing. I think if I try to sudo update in the past, I never ever to achieve that command in Windows. But now with the distro command, distros available, you can run sudo on that. So sudo this, and these command can update the Linux file. Let's say last in this Sunday, I have tried to update download something for Windows, but there doesn't have a command in Windows to do that. So right now, when I do that, I can do that in a Linux distro and run that command and download for my Windows environment is that. So in that way, I think people have more comfortable using Windows. I think most of the time, because more the past when I talk about Linux word, I doesn't uh, feeling good in using commands. But right now, in the advent of Docker, everything is a command base. So that's why the Microsoft uses approach of integrating Linux into the Windows world. So you can easily update packages or other things on other things that you couldn't do in Windows world.
Right. Yeah. There's a Winget and GNU Make 32. I think these are 2 utilities that Nuno was showing off prior. These make for good, well, maybe potentially good topics of discussion on a YouTube video, but also just like these are good blog posts that we need. Like we need the contributor guide updated for how to build, how to be a developer or build Meshery on Windows. Yeah. Let me tag both, and VJ. Nice. Yeah, those are great topics, Simon.
Uh, also, Lee, just want to know the knowledge. What our temp repo are look like right now? Is they are behind the same? There's a fork repo of Meshery, or they have some uh, remove pieces of Meshery? What kind of their behavior is temp repo?
Yep, I think the only it's a forked repo of Meshery. I think literally like when we fork it and kind of refresh it occasionally, the only thing I believe that we change or that we just don't include, we just don't include the secrets for pushing to Docker Hub so that fails intentionally.
Uh, but on that repo, you can pull the Docker images as well, but you can.
No, that's actually what we were talking about earlier. Is that like, hey, it's good that we have a sandbox area, a temp repo for making whatever changes you want to and not being concerned about breaking anything. But replicating the GitHub actions and the workflow locally so that you can get access to the artifacts that are produced, the container images, that it can be a challenge, and it can be a challenge. Okay, well then what we were talking about earlier is potentially creating a new Docker Hub repository for a sandbox Meshery, for like the Meshery -temp, so that people can go pull those images, those that are working on breaking changes. And as part of that, the reality is like, I think the reality is most of the time, most projects you'd find probably say, well, wait a second, why aren't you just using a different long-lived branch in the main repo? And I think that that's generally a better approach. Our challenge, I think the reason that we hadn't initially is because not everyone that contributes kind of understands how branching and how that works. And then because we were making changes to the workflow, and just found it easier I think more comfortable to let everyone blow anything away in a different repo. Ultimately, though, the temp build, like we could call those something of a sandbox build. And we would ideally let people switch between, that would ideally become a release distribution, because we're trying to work towards stable and edge release distributions. We could also then once we have distributions, we could have a sandbox distribution so that, anyway, so I guess kind of to my point about like getting to a YouTube video and stuff, is we absolutely want to do that. But at this point, we can't even, we're not even at a point by which we're versioning Meshery to tell people that like, 0.4 is here and here's how you can upload. We have so many other issues in front of this that it's, yeah. I think once we get solved, like, hey, here's an easy way to learn service meshing, and here's our sample app that you can take, and here's a guide to walk through and do that. Right now, we use Istio and Bookinfo to teach people, but yeah, that would ideally change. We would ideally have a much different workshop that uses sample apps, that we've built that go from very simple to fairly complex, and that we have guides that we walk people through, that we've published these guides in our docs. And so we've been looking at Shipyard a little bit for as a capability for like kind of living documentation. anyway, it's a separate topic. We can talk about shipyard and kind of the way in which we can do training later. But my point is, I agree. Like training is a very serious thing. I'm sorry, training is something we should take very serious, and is something that thousands and thousands and thousands of people will be coming to now and for the next few years to come, or next 8 years to come. People will be learning service meshes, which is in part why we're investing in the writing the books and doing the other things. So yeah, shoot, we need some more full-time help, I guess, is the thing. We're getting there though. So
Lee, I just throwing out some link here. That's under just telling us how to do the raft SCD and a rafts consortium work. That's a very beautiful animations here. That one easily can walk through it, and then just a small animations. Doesn't anything about that.
yeah,
That's the- is that kind of a things people here that's know about animation. We can do that. People have a very good familiarity with the project.
totally. Yeah, that's right. I mean,
I'm not an expert in animation drawing, but someone here could do that. That's a very fantastic overview of our project, and people give us a feedback before things.
yeah.
You able to open that link?
Yeah, it looks good. I'm sitting here kind of clicking continue, and it draws out the different nodes and how Raft exchanges and the different states of Raft. Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah, last time I just threw it out on the LinkedIn that the very people like about that, and also then I thinking, can we do that thing as well? Because right now people are these are the animation drawing has I mean a native user can explain how the things happening here. And in the Kubernetes and service mesh, well, I think plenty of demo that I have walked through about there were these kind of animations, so people can learn that. And also, last time I asked about, is there a league? There's any clean cheat sheet for our Meshery? So that could
Honestly,
be very.
yeah, no, that'd be great. I don't. The closest that we get to it is the doc called using Meshery CTL, but that's it makes a good foundation for a cheat sheet. Yeah, we could certainly use one of those.
I just throw out just a one page PDF and each command is just a one line description for that, like Docker and Kubernetes cheat sheet. There's a one page document and just a simple, just a one liner. If anyone, if you, I think I don't have a strong familiarity. I can do that, but I don't have every command. I'm not even able to grasp every command what they are doing here. So if anyone or you can just send me so I can animate out behind the layer 5 page and show that to the Twitter and LinkedIn.
Nice, yeah. And so of the cheat sheet that you're thinking of, hopefully you can see my screen again. This
Yes,
is
yes.
all right. This is a guide in our docs. It's called using Meshery CTL. It might be that what you're thinking of is just to convert this to a PDF or like is just to take this and pass it around, or it might be that you're thinking of something slightly different. But either way is great. Yeah, either way, let's pass this around, or let's take this and slice it a different way. Yeah, either of those things would be great.
Yes, I can update that into the Word file and need some animation behind that, such a layer 5 logo and the layer 5 background I need. So I can point it out, and the behind that is the layer 5 and Meshery is a growing up. That's these command related to this community and this. So need some fix, and I can convert that to the Docker the Word file. Just
Sure. So let me point out a couple of things. And so one is that there's a layer5.io/brand that has our logo assets. I will say that, and it actually has a new one for Image Hub. Also inside of the Meshery team drive in Google, all of these assets are there as well. So as you make as you do some of those things like a cheat sheet. One thing that I'll say is if you careful how you use the logos, like you wouldn't want to change the colors or like put somebody else's logo right next to it, or there's a few rules, if you will, um, but yeah, if you let me have a quick glance, I'd love for you to be taking these and spreading them around, yeah, and using them in like.
Uh, Yes, I try to figure it out. Just when I completed that, I share with you.
Nice.
So if you're feeling that, how if we can show it at the public or not. If not, you can also set that other person who have know some graphic designing with, they can properly align those things and then can share. I think that this has to be shared quickly because we need some feedback.
Yeah.
That's why I'm really waiting for that.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, no, we'll get it if it is if or do it if it does need a little bit of tweaking, we'll get it tweaked. Moreover, we'll also be working to get some templates that are easy to just pick up and use. There's a template now. I'll show you one last thing before we end. Let me share my screen again. There's a template now. There's one that's inside of the Meshery team drive, but it's for Meshery itself, and it's under. There's two things. There's under presentations. There's a Meshery presentation template that is intended for you or others to take and use as a slide template. There's also kind of the stump, the 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 standard Meshery presentation, if you will. It's kind of the standard layer 5. What does layer 5 do, and what are the projects that we're working on? This kind of standard presentation that can be used, or just individual slides taken out. So that's a good resource.
Thanks, Lee. I actually wanted that for my upcoming session on Saturday. So
Nice.
need a presentation of kind of that. I forget to ask about that, but thanks, you can point it out that.
Nice. That's perfect. There's one other thing in here. I think it's under process. There's a Meshery document template. So this one was designed for like a functional specification. Like if we're going to make something that this is what the contributors would use to fill out like how this is going to work. And there's one for layer 5 as well. And so depending upon what you're doing, we can get the layer 5 one that it looks a little bit different. Because maybe that's an appropriate thing for us to have. I'm trying to think of like where. Anyway, it looks a little bit like this. It's just kind of a letterhead that can be. It's in a Google Doc, but it can be put into a Word doc with like in about 2 seconds. So it just looks like this. It has a little logo and then kind of a footer, a header and a footer. So from here, if you ended up making the Meshery CTL cheat sheet, sure, then this can be, that might be a good format for it. I don't know.
Yes, I tried out, really, really. I tried it out, converted to that, showing to you if you feel that's a good way, we need some tweaks, and then we finally throw to the public on LinkedIn or other post forum in order to get the good feedback. And also, Lee, I think we have some arrange some good meetings to Nono or any Docker captain here, so we can do a full line 1 or 2 hour meeting regarding our temp projects, Meshery, sample app projects, and other. I think you decided a day, and we can do that on for using their experience, what they are talk all about, and tell us how they do it. I think Nono is very great in presenting things, and he have a very good ideas about that.
Yeah.
So the three topic of discussion for me, I think sandbox environment and image hub. That's how we can enhances that. And third is how the sample app that we want to show to the public in a few days. What is that look like? I think these three topic we have to show
Totally.
discuss.
The community call will make that's a great forum for this. Yeah, if we can wrangle 2 or 3 power users in advance and ask that they join on the same day, um, that would be a great thing. That'd be a great to have a feedback session, particularly since then all the other contributors and the community members can hear that feedback. I think it's always nice for people to get feedback on the work that they've done.
And also, I think we have to engage if we could some HashiCorp players in that or other service provider. If we can, they can show it out. So we have a good solid foundation for that. So I think last in this week, I think these are the very good meeting points for next two community calls. I think we have to rightly shift our focus toward presenting some great things to the public. So I'm also every Monday or Tuesday I'm showing related stuff to the Meshery. So I'm eagerly waiting for a good stuff that I might try to show to the public so people get engaged with the community as well.
Do it. Okay, good. Yeah. Uh, okay, fair enough. Maybe we'll stop the call here, but yeah, if you end up, since you know Nuno, maybe poke him on that. Maybe he's got some ideas. Maybe he's got some others that will have that might be also good to include, on the same feedback call.
Hello, Liam. Sorry, actually, I got stuck. So I just joined right now.
Oh, thank you, Shivai. Yeah, good to have you. We were just this was our last sentence. We were off.
Uh, Lee, I think these meeting needs that have I think we need these kind of things for folks that have a Docker, Kubernetes, WSL, and these kind of experience combined. Let us guide and direction to where we should move forward. I think we could do the next to community call topic, so we can do that separately as you think. It's right on your call.
I'm good with that. We just need to get it organized. I've just got and so
Uh,
I'll look for help from folks to do it.
I try to engage in Nuno in that to the same conversation about challenge when the time appropriate and is available for us, so we can have talk with them with us. So I have tried to Slack on Nuno. He's a very good in responding to that. So I think next community call can be on that topic as well.
Right. Nice. Okay. Sounds good. Shivai.
yeah, Lee, just wanted to ask one thing with regards to the Learn Layer 5. Could you just let me know about more? Just a brief thing on that.
So that one's being created in context of the SMI conformance.
Okay.
And so that we can, so that hopefully it knocks out a couple of birds with one stone. It works as a good sample app to test SMI conformance, and also hopefully works out as a great sample app for building workshops around, for teaching people, to stop, well, not necessarily to stop teaching people book info, but to have something fresh, to have something that's a little lighter weight, to Simon's point, literally lighter weight on your machine, and also lighter weight in terms of like understanding what it's doing and how. Uh, yeah, so Kanishkar is focused on that one at the moment, and it's an early phase sample app. The Image Hub, that's also a sample app, it's okay. It needs a little bit of improvement because the console adapter needs improvement. But
Okay.
the problem with it is it's an advanced use case. Like it's it's WebAssembly stuff, which is further down and confusing. And so yeah, we need a yeah. Fair enough.
Uh, yeah, you saying something, Lee? I'm sorry to have spoken in between. You were saying something before this one.
Nope, I think that was it. Just that we're all wrapped up.
Okay. Yeah, I did go through the minute meetings, and I guess I understood that.
Good. We can catch up here in just a bit as well.
Sure. Okay. Just wanted to ask, like, what was the file issue that was there with the Windows compatibility? Is that once we have set up the WSL and we're running Docker, like Docker, what do we call that? I'm sorry, I forgot the name.
Yeah. I don't know.
Docker Hub, yeah, Docker Hub.
I'm not sure. I mean, I know Sime has run into some issues in he's been helping others learn Meshery on Windows.
So, Sam, were you like taking help from Nuno?
Shivai, definitely, you can call me anytime. We can
Sure. Okay.
show this. I can. You can Slack me on anytime. We can
Sure.
walk through what's the issues.
Okay.
Okay, fair enough. Gentlemen, same time next week. Okay. All right.
Really, goodbye.
Okay. Bye, guys. Talk to you later.